We are back for the second event of the Individual Quadrilla Marble League in Season 6. Here in the final season, it's the obstacle course event, an event we've seen before in the Team QML Marble League, but this time a revamped course here in the Individual Quadrilla Marble League. It's good to be back here, and looking at the course, it's a quadrilla maze section to start things off here. Different to what we've seen in the past, but then we get into the familiar Gravitrax section, and also the beam at the end, which marbles can take as a shortcut to skip part of the course. This is a heats of 4 event, racing event, but don't let the familiar format fool you. It's anything but standard here in the obstacle course. Things can change by the second all the way towards the end. And as we take a look at the standings, Tarzan claimed gold in the first event, the sprint, ahead of Java and Goop. Rainforest just barely off the medal positions, then it's Casper rounding out the top 5. And here is a look at our heats here. Remember, heats of 4, top 2 will go on to the semi-finals. And we'll see how these marbles take to this quadrilla maze section. Many of these marbles unfamiliar with this kind of track here. Bluetail, Python, Neptune, and Denim will demonstrate this event here. The 4 marbles that didn't qualify for the season. Python gets off to a start. You can see the marbles slaloming, taking all kinds of different directions. Then it's Denim in second, Bluetail in close proximity for third, and they'll go across the beam into first place. Python, in fact, entered that final section in first, but didn't take the beam at all, and that really hurt them. Denim and Bluetail managed to get by. So the entire third to first flipped to first to third into that final section, Neptune bringing up the rear. But you can see how different each of the sections of this event is. Really favors different marbles and different skill sets in this event. Bluetail 10.59 times, a bit slower than what we've seen in the obstacle course in the past. So we'll see how the marbles in the main tournament can take to it. Tarzan, Shamrock, Walnut, and Blizzard in heat number 1, and off they go here. Tarzan gets off to the best start here. Walnut and Shamrock in a close duel for second place. Then it's the Blizzard bringing up the rear. Blizzard makes a nice surge here into second place. Tarzan's going to finish the course, and Blizzard will get by Shamrock for second place. Going across the beam will seal their advancement. And while Shamrock and Walnut were fighting in the middle part of the course, there's where a great burst of speed was made by Blizzard to get into second place. And Tarzan, well ahead, our gold medalists from the first event, not stopping despite the long break here. They're going to be forced to be reckoned with for sure into the semifinals. 8.70 seconds, over a second faster than any of the marbles in this heat and any of the marbles we saw in the demo run. Now, on to Heat 2. Java, Void, Ecto, and Candycorn, with Tarzan advancing. Java, second place in the first event. Eyes on them as we get into this heat. Off they go. It's a slow start for all of them. Void takes the lead, but now Candycorn and Ecto close the duel for second place. Now, all 3 of them very close for first place. Void will take the lead here. Candycorn in second, and all of the marbles took the beam there. Java bringing up the rear. They did manage to get on the beam, but no one else faltered towards the end, so Java will hold on to 4th place there. And Void and Candycorn, you can see all of the marbles on the beam at the same time at one point, but Void and Candycorn managed to hold on, and those 2 marbles are going to join Tarzan and Blizzard in the semifinals. Ecto, another knockout in the heats, and Java, unlike Tarzan, can't match their performance in the first event. Now, on to Heat 3. Goop, Mystic Orb, Sandstorm, and Wave Runner. Wave Runner dead last in the sprint here. They're hoping to have used that break as a reset period, and Goop in 3rd place in the first event, but they're well off the back now. Mystic Orb is in the lead here. Sandstorm briefly took the lead, and Mystic Orb, a nice surge there at the end, and they will get advancement. It was very close for second place between Wave Runner and Sandstorm. I believe Sandstorm did enter that final section first ahead of those 2, but Wave Runner just taking the beam a bit longer, but I don't believe they got by. If Wave Runner just stayed on the beam for even a second, a few tenths longer, Wave Runner might have managed to get by, but regardless, Sandstorm will hold on just by 9/100ths of a second ahead of Wave Runner. Goop, a great burst of speed at the end there, but they were too far back by that point, so that's our 3rd place marble also knocked out here. Now, into the final heat here. Rainforest, Casper, Seabed, and Gord, 2 nominated marbles in this one. In the bottom 2, and there's Gord ahead in the lead right now. Now Rainforest trying to take the lead. Seabed comes out of nowhere to take the lead briefly. Now Rainforest has it. Seabed will take it back, and Gord gets by into second place. those two marbles, taking the beam to secure their advancement here. But it was chopping and changing here in the Gravitrax. A great move by Seabed, but they get passed by Rainforce. But then Rainforce gets held up on that hexagon on the near side, and they, I think, fell all the way back to last. Casper, taking the beam, managed to get them into third place at least. Not going to be advancement for them, but they'll get an extra point out of that great run in the beam at the end. But Seabed and Gord will advance on, the two nominated marbles, onto the semifinals. Now we look at 9th to 16th. Wave Runner, nice bounce back to 9th place after 16th of the first event. Walnut will get dead last. Rainforest and Casper, two marbles that did well in the first event, in 14th and 15th. But there are our groups for the semifinals. Tarzan, Candycorn, Mystic Orb, and Gord in the first one. With second to fifth all knocked out from the first event, Tarzan now has a great opportunity to stretch their lead in the championship. Of course, it's only event 2 here, but every point counts and every event counts, but it's close for first place here. Candycorn and Mystic Orb are also up there. Candycorn, a huge burst of speed towards the end, and Candycorn, that came out of nowhere. They took such a great line in the entry to the beam. They didn't even take the beam, but they managed to carry so much speed, using the momentum of Tarzan there, and that pushed Tarzan all the way back to the back. Gord will get second place here. They're going to go on with Candycorn to the final. But Tarzan, caught napping there in the Gravitrax, they're going to be knocked out here. Mystic Orb also very slow at the end of the course. Not taking the beam is going to hurt them. They'll get fourth place here. But Candycorn and Gord, two marbles that got knocked out in the heats in the first event, they're both going on to the final. Now, in the second semi-final, Blizzard, Void, Sandstorm, and Seabed here. And off they go here. Void, the only marble that got a top half finish in the first event, but it's Seabed that has the lead right now. Now it's Void. Blizzard also catching up here. They'll get into second place here. They're going to make a run in the lead. That's very close between Blizzard and Seabed for the victory here in the semi-final, but both of them are going to go on to the final to join Candycorn and Gord here. Look at Blizzard, nowhere in the picture in the Quadrilla Maze section, but then firing out like a cannon, just like they did in the heat into the Gravitrax. They really made a great run towards the ending of the course and almost got by Seabed. I think Seabed did hold on by 0.03 of a second at the end there. But Blizzard looking racy heading into the final. Void and Sandstorm is going to be knocked out here. The defending champion will get a top half finish, but only 8th place here. And it's Void in 7th. In fact, those two saw into 7th and 8th. Tarzan, the championship leader, will get 5th place. But now, on to the final. Candycorn, Blizzard, Gord, and Seabed, four marbles that all didn't make the top half in the first event. Well, one will capture gold here in event 2. Gord gets the best start. Seabed trailing them. They're shadowing each other. Blizzard's in 3rd place. Candycorn nowhere in the picture. Now Seabed will take the lead. A nudge with Gord there. Gord takes the beam. Did they manage to get by Seabed at the end there? Seabed and Gord, the two nominated marbles, in 1 and 2 here for this event. But who claimed gold? Seabed had the lead heading to the final section, but Gord stayed on the beam for longer, and Candycorn also got by for 3rd place there, just with a great move there at the very end to get by Blizzard. But all eyes on this photo finish here. The closest finish for the victory is reserved for the final here. As we take a look at the super slow motion replay, Seabed takes it by 1/100th of a second. 10.42 is good enough, just about, to capture gold here in event 2 in the obstacle course. Gord was oh so close. If they stayed on for even 100th more on the beam, they might have managed to get by. But Seabed, after a long break in the Individual Quadrilla Marble League, it's a marble that has won so many times, back on the top step of the podium here in event 2. They're going to take the fight to Tarzan here. Tarzan with that 5th place in this event, still going to hold on to the championship lead. But it's Seabed, Gord, and Candycorn that do good enough to stand on the podium here in event 2. Congratulations. So, looking at the standings after event 2, Tarzan and Seabed, a familiar top 2 in the standings, ahead of Java and Gord, jumping up 11 spots after 15th of the first event, up to 4th place after event 2. We are back here in the Individual Quadrilla Marble League, and we're going to be back in a few days' time for the next event, the Quadrilla Race.